over year, while interest rates are now in the 7.5% range and climbing. In fact, here's a crazy thing that we probably should talk about. Some economists are now saying, with inflation still being pesky and annoying, that a rate hike is now back on the table. Not a rate cut, but Powell and the Fed may actually hike rates instead of cut rates. So if they hike rates, that's going to certainly have an impact on everything, including the local real estate market. We'll talk about that with Keith Smith. We should have an idea of that today, tomorrow, with some other macro data that's coming out. The show, we encourage you, the viewers and listeners, to join us in the conversation. Judah Wickower, things are looking good here on my end. We can start the program when you're ready as we cover all these topics and welcome you, the viewer and listener, into the discussion. Good Wednesday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on Real Talk with Keith Smith. It's a pleasure to connect with you through the I Love Seville network. The program Real Talk with Keith Smith, presented by Yes Realty Partners. Find them online at yesrealtypartners.com. This boutique real estate firm is crushing it right now, and they do it the right way through honesty, integrity, and timely communication. Yes Realty Partners. We'll highlight some of the partners that make the show possible, like Interstate Service Company, a home's best friend. Interstate is a multi-generation, locally owned business that prides itself in doing the right thing. Interstate Service Company. Today's show is the water cooler of conversation for real estate in Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and in Central Virginia. We encourage you, the viewer and listener, to join us in the discussion as we talk trends, data, macro data, micro data, and what's moving and shaking across the car footprint. Judah Wickower is always working hard behind the camera to keep us online. His efforts should be commended on a daily basis. I try to offer my thank you to him, and I probably do not do it nearly enough. I sincerely mean that. Let's welcome the star of the program, Keith Smith, to the show. Keith, you are a busy man. Your firm, quite busy. Now what? In the middle of the second quarter.
Yeah, middle of the second quarter, and thank you everybody for being patient with us as we try to kick the show off. So I think we're going to talk a little bit about the car report. I had some other slides set up, but we can definitely kick off on that. But, you know, if everybody goes back and watch the April 3rd show of Real Talk, you'll see the slides similar to what's in the car report, right? You know, in the car footprint, prices were up, sales were down, right? We've been talking about that for a while. So we'll take whatever questions we have in the feed on that. But what I wanted to talk a little bit about today and kick it off, you know, knowing that everybody was looking at the car report, is I did some homework late last night and took a look at, you know, what was the active listing counts, pending, and month inventory going back from 2017 to now. And I think that will tell us a little bit about the future. I think we peaked, by the way.
You think we peaked?
In volume of sales and pendings, I think somewhere around May or June, you're going to start seeing, I think, the volume go down.
You're saying sales going down.
So I'm calling so when I talk about sales at the moment, I'm talking about pendings. These are stuff that went on the homes that went on the contract. So if you take a look at slide number B, if you don't mind. So these are going back to 2017. So we had a peak of pending sales. So April's generally the peak months. That's the reason I wanted to look at this month. So if you look at April 17th, that was the peak. April 2018 was the peak. April 2019, so forth and so on. But we are roughly 40% down versus April 21, which was the peak of pendings. This is the full car footprint.
Peak of COVID.
was a peak of COVID.
Yeah.
Bravo, spot on. But if you take a look at that graph, not necessarily look at the numbers, but look at the peaks and the valleys, right? And every one of the peaks were around April and May, and then every one of the valleys started working their way down to January, which is December, January, which is the lower thing. So 2 reasons I wanted to do this, Jerry. One is, you know what, we still are seasonal. The real estate market is still seasonal. Here's the proof. And I think you're going to, unless we'll find out what next month is, but if it follows the trends, I think we're kind of on the top of this bell curve as far as pendings go. We'll go ahead and maybe start seeing some of these pendings slipping back as we get further into the summer months.
Chuck Ramey, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you kindly
Hey,
for
Chuck.
joining us. James Watson, brother from another mother, watching the program. Thank you kindly for joining us. Kurt Johnson, the author, who's going to join us on the I Love Seville show at 12:30. That's going to be a fantastic interview with insight from Charlottesville High School and his time as a teacher at CHS.
Cool.
Stephanie Wells Rhodes on the broadcast from the Interstate Service Company family. A number of real estate investors I see watching the show as we speak, including the Stantonian investor and developer Seth Liskey, friend of the program, on the feed right now. Look, I'll cut to the chase. You're saying you expect sales to not just flatline or stay consistent. You're expecting, and the data suggests, that sales from here on out for the rest of the year are going to drop.
Well, historically, the peak is April and May.
Sure, but historically we have not had sales numbers, deals closed at this paltry level. Year over year we're the same, but last year was no bueno.
No, without a doubt. Well, I disagree with that. I think we're down number of sales in the first quarter in the car footprint. I frankly haven't read the report, not to be arrogant about it, but it's 6 weeks late. It's too late. It's over. We're already 6 weeks into the next quarter. But if they're saying that the total volume of sales was flat year over year, that's not the data I pulled.
CAR, the Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors, shows home prices up in Charlottesville and Albemarle County 28% over the first quarter of 2023.
Okay, so I'm doing the whole car footprint.
But home sales were slightly up, they say. So you're saying that's a misinterpretation of the data.
Maybe I'm looking at something different than they did. So I look at and I wish I would have sent Judah these slides from our show on the 3rd, right? But it's you still have them? Yeah, so this would be slide number 1 from the 3rd. I can try to email this to you if you would like.
No, he's got the emails.
Yeah. So I looked at quarter over quarter, right? So this is the same quarter in 2023, as in 2024. First quarter 2023 versus first quarter 2024. I don't know what CAR's looking at, to be frank with you.
They say there were 694 homes sold region-wide in the first quarter of this year, up 1%, which is 6 units versus the previous quarter of 2023.
That may be for 2 different, it's wrong. I can tell you it's wrong.
CAR also says home prices are rising quickly in many parts of the CAR area.
That is true.
The median sales price in the region was $435,000 for the first quarter, up 8% from last year, a $34,000 jump.
Does it say buyer brokers compensation?
No, it says comparison of total homes sold, medium sales price, quarter 2023, quarter 2024.
CAR also says the inventory of homes on the market continues to tighten. 672 active listings in the CAR footprint at the end of the first quarter,
I would agree with.
down 4% from a year ago.
Okay, I think I've got it.
Yeah, that I would agree with. So, my numbers, full CAR footprint, this includes new construction and everything, and the 6 jurisdictions. The volume of sales were down 8% compared to the following quarter. So the quarter of 2023 versus the quarter of 2024, the volume of sales, the number of transactions were down 8%, while the price was up 9%. And I'd love somebody to tell me otherwise, but this is straight out of Paragon's data that I'm looking at. Now, certain jurisdictions were up and certain jurisdictions were down, but yeah, overall car footprint, we are down in South. And
Fluvanna County down tremendously, according to CAR, 19% 19% in sales in your county,
I can tell you, I've got all
which
these.
is a significant drop for Fluvanna.
In volume of sales?
Yeah.
It's actually down 30%. The volume of sales is down 30%.
That's significant.
The price is flat, and we talked about this over there. So I don't really know what they're pulling and what they're leaving out. There may be specific properties that they're not including. I don't really know. I'll be honest with you, I've stopped looking at those reports a long time ago, and I pull my own data. Look, all you got to do is ask anybody in the business and find out if they are doing more sales now this quarter versus last quarter. And we're fortunate. We're actually up 30%, our shop. But most folks are not up that high. And, you know, the way to go ahead and do that, and so this information I'm going to share right now is straight out of Realtor.com, which is connected to the MLSs. So if you don't mind bouncing around a little bit, look at slide number A. So slide number A is the number of homes actively for sale per month, excluding pending. So you're going to drop what's pending. These are homes that are active per month. The last, the highest peak we were was again in April 2017. We are 68% below that. So there are 68% less homes coming on the market this month of April versus April of 2017. But if you take a look at that wiggly little chart, see how it just plummets all the way down, and it starts basically, you hit 2020. Between 2019 and 2020, it's a slide. It's a ski slope, diamond D slope, slope down, and then it kind of bounces around a little bit over that way.
Comments, put them in the feed. Very interesting commentary has been coming up from your colleagues of late. Here's an interesting take.
Take a look at that.
This is from Jim Duncan. Jim Duncan, one of the owners of Nest, right?
I believe so, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. He has now indicated to his clients, and he put this on social media. He writes, the advice remains on point from April 2022 for a lot of home buyers. His clients, we just lost in a competitive situation, a house on a market for 3 days that received 9 offers, the winning offer which waived all contingencies. He's now advising, I have recently advised my buyer clients to take a step back from homes that are new to the market. If they are not willing or able to compete at the irrational prices, it's best not to put them in positions where they will be competing against irrational offers.
So he's doing his job. He's taking care of his fiduciary responsibility of the buyer. And he knows certain specifics of the buyer that I'm sure he's not sharing there.
No, he's saying this to all his buyer clients.
I understand that. But what he's basically saying is, don't put yourself in a position to be house rich and cash poor. That's what he's saying. So, but to add a point to that, if you don't mind slide C, this is the months of inventory. This is an important slide, folks. This is the months of inventory. And what that means is the inventory that is currently on the market, how long would it take to absorb it? So this is the absorption rate. So if no new homes come on the market, how much months of inventory are left? Well, we're at 0.75 of a month. We're at 3/4 of a month. The peak was back around September and October of 2019 with 4.5 months. So that's when it was higher. It took 4.5 months to weed through what's on inventory. We're now down to 0.75. And if you take a look at that graph, it's just this kind of constant slide down, and it's been flat pretty much from the unicorn years to now. But that's an 82% decrease. So to his point is, homes are, there's just not enough inventory. Homes are flipping. And the reason I did all this work last night, Jerry, was, we've been talking about, is things cyclical, right? Where are we at with the inventory? Is things going to get any better? And, even though we might have a little bump of inventory right now, compared to what it was, we've been flat with inventory pretty much since July. It really started around April, May, June of 2020, and it just kind of bounced a little bit all the way across, but we're staying kind of in this flat sub 1 month of inventory.
If the market dynamics are
Unique.
nuanced. You have a Federal Reserve that may now raise rates, hike rates. Inflation has remained pesky and high, and now many of the talking heads and experts are saying Powell has a decision of whether actually to increase rates because it continues to remain pesky. And that is
Or-
something he is considering.
or
Alternatively, they keep them where they're at for a
Or-
longer period of time. The
Or-
cuts are now apparently off the table.
Or that 2% wasn't a real number to start with. That 2% inflation mark. Maybe we're kind of in a new world with inflation, right? Maybe instead of 2%, it's 3% or 4%. Maybe that's what they do. I don't think they'll ever do that. They'll ever admit that the 2% is wrong. But look, we've been hovering way north of 2% for quite some time, and the economy's just chugging along. So one, at least I have to ask myself this, and I'm not smart enough to know any better, but is that kind of now the new norm, right? This is kind of the new norm?
And that's interestingly what Duncan is hitting at. He says, give us 5 to 15 months to adjust to this new reality
Yeah.
and brace yourselves for the themes about the new normal. Hint, normal is whatever is happening right now.
Yeah. So is this the new normal? But I'll push back on, and I love Jim to death. I read everything he does. He's super smart. But, look, at the end of the day, the time to buy a house is always now, right? If you need to buy a home.
I mean,
you
this
buy
is
a
the
home.
first time I see a owner of a firm and a broker saying he's telling his buyer clients to wait.
But what are you waiting for? And I personally, look, that's his decision. He has communications with his clients, right? And what he thinks best interest for his clients. I know this much. Unless something drastic happens that impacts everybody watching, listening, or sitting in this studio, home prices are going to continue to go up.
Oh, I have no doubt home prices are going to continue to go up.
So
I left that in a comment on former Mayor Nakaya Walker's Facebook page,
Yeah.
where she highlighted the area median income of over $124,000.
it is going to continue to go up.
The family household income for the Charlottesville metropolitan area, over $124,000 family household income. That number is going to go up,
Yeah.
and we haven't even seen true affordability issues, folks.
Well, it's just going to get worse.
It's
We
gonna
have
worsen.
affordability. Believe me, I'm in that space every day, right?
It's going to worsen.
Yeah, but,
We have interest rates now at 7.5%. I know firsthand with me choosing last week whether I wanted to lock in a rate, went with the lock option because I was hesitant of the data that was coming
you didn't want
this
to do a
week.
float.
I got that decision in retrospect saved us over 1/4 of a point.
That's exactly right. So I want to be clear. When you want to buy a home or need to buy a home, now is always the right time to buy a home. Right, assuming you can find the right house. But here's the deal: if you have to buy and you wait,
Interesting article from the New York Times pushes back on that comment, Keith. And I'm a huge proponent of home ownership.
Yeah.
I'm hosting a talk show. I like to keep the conversation compelling, the commentary compelling. The New York Times has now put on its platform that perhaps renting is now the best pursuit. The Times.
did they give you a reason why? And it's also about the metro areas matter. Micro markets matter, Jerry. In New York and all this. Of course, you can't buy anything. Period. And
Oh, they're talking nationally.
Yeah. Look, there's no better way, flat out, period, to create generational wealth. That's the reason why I fight so hard on my affordable housing nonprofits I work with, and the work that I do on it. To build generation wealth is through home ownership. Flat out, done, end of story. Now, the point is can people afford it? And rents are going to be going up. They are going up. Certain areas they're getting flat, but in our area they're sure as heck not. They're going up. But the bottom line is we're closing on 2 land trust homes the end of this month, actually next week. And I met with the buyer yesterday, and she was in tears. And she was in tears because she was excited because the timing worked out great that we can help her buy this home because our landlord is raising the freaking rent by 20%. Right? She now has a home she owns that she's going to build equity in and all that stuff. And her inflation just stopped, right? Other than taxes and insurance. But she is now locked into a certain rate, and she's going to be. And oh, by the way, the person who's selling the home is walking away with $35,000 in their pocket. The home she bought 2 years ago. So come on, guys, this works. I don't get it. That's the New York Times. I tend not to read the Times. They tend to lead one way or the other. But, if you can buy, now's the time to buy. Always has been.
7.5% mortgage rates.
Yeah. Even at 8%. I bought at 18%.
7.5% mortgage rates at a time when values of houses are at their highest in American history.
I would agree with that. Mm-hmm. Salaries are also up, too.
This comment is
I can tell you when we bought, just to put it in perspective, when we bought at 18% for a $125,000 house, so you do the math, we were not making anywhere near what we're making at this point, and we were paying over 50% of our income towards the mortgage payment because we believed in home ownership.
I think there's plenty of data out there, and Judah would back this comment up, that anyone would back this comment up. Salaries have not kept up with cost of living in the country.
I would agree 100%.
In fact, cost of living has far outpaced
I think there was a real neat
American wages.
Real neat report out there. I don't remember the exact specifics that, even 6-figure salaries can't afford to buy now.
Well, $100,000 salary is not $100,000. It's not worth nearly as what it was.
I agree.
The 7.5% interest rate at a time when values are at the highest in American history has got significant headwinds for the buyer at a time when inventory is at all-time lows, at a time when folks not tied to Central Virginia are moving to the area quickly and with an aggressive clip.
In the car footprint, we have less than a month of inventory absorption, period.
Can we make a legitimate argument that right now is the most expensive time in cars' history to purchase a house?
Yeah, that requires a bunch of math that I'm not prepared to do.
I think we can make that statement.
But we can say that homes are at the peak of they are never been any higher than they are at the moment, right? But you got to calculate I'm not smart enough to do this, Jerry. You got to calculate all kinds of different interest rates and different things in it. But at the end of the day, we're at north of $300,000-$400,000 to buy a home. That takes a lot.
That's low.
That takes a lot of income. Yeah, but I'm talking about in the car footprint.
Well, in the car footprint, the median price in the first quarter was $435,000.
I got $446,000. So we're close.
Yeah, which is the median sales price in the region in the car footprint for the first quarter, $435,000.
Now, if you take out
8% leap from the previous first quarter of 2023.
9%.
With your data.
Yeah, we're splitting hairs over, 446 versus 9% and 435 or whatever it is versus 8%. We're splitting hairs on it. I think we're close enough on it, but yeah, we're up. But we talked about this. Remember last year we were talking about things are going to flat, prices are going to come down, all this naysayer, and it just didn't happen, and it won't happen until this 0.75 gets a month's absorbent, less than a month, gets up to a couple of months, right? There's going to be a ton of pressure on pricing.
The solicitations are aggressively out again, with folks door knocking, with offers in
Thought we were
hand
talking about something else.
to purchase homes.
Yeah.
It is aggressively happening in this.
Because we have a less than 1 month of inventory in the car footprint.
Tom Powell, welcome to the broadcast. Andy Zeman, hello. Sarah
Yeah.
Wood, hello. Sarah Hill-Buchensky, Kate Sharks, Ricardo Cruz
A-
Duran.
Ask Andy, is his application slowing down or picking up? I guarantee you his applications aren't slowing down. He's still getting applications. People are still trying to buy, still coming there, but it's just there's the pool of people trying to buy is that 20-foot deep pool, and right now we're at an inventory absorption of a kiddie pool.
Roger Voisinay, welcome
Roger.
to the broadcast. Roger,
Great listing, Roger. Great listing.
offer your perspective here, Roger Voisinay, on what is happening right now. I was surprised to see an owner of a firm telling his clients to wait.
Yeah, I didn't read I read it quickly. I didn't read the details in it. So I mean, I'm sure Jim has some other.
He said, I have recently advised my buyer clients to take a step back from homes that are new to the market.
Yeah. So what I didn't run a report on, and I can look at this very quickly because it'll take some time. Actually, I can do this because I've set it up. What you're starting to see, and particularly in the city of Charlottesville,
Real estate investor Eric Gunderson watching the program.
you're starting to see a pretty large percentage of price reductions. And that's because, in my opinion, people, I'll tell you here, hold on a second.
Well, I can tell you why that's the case.
Well, you'll do that while I,
If
you want to go back a year? How far do you want to go back?
If you're listing your house right now and you have a historically low interest rate, a generationally low interest rate,
No, that's
an
not.
interest rate that's lower, that's the lowest in all-time history.
No, I'm talking about
Why
prices.
wouldn't you shoot for the highest price possible and say, who cares if we don't get it, we'll just wait in our house with this rate?
Hold on a second here. It's thinking. I'll tell you here in a minute. So from January 24th to April,
Tom Powell, hello.
it's thinking. It's not as fast as you and me.
I mean, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Come out of the gates with a high number, and if I don't get it, who cares? I stay in the house and just have a 2% rate.
Yeah. So between March 24 and April 24, there went from, in March, there was 4 reductions. Now we're at 20. So what's happening, I think, in the city of Charlottesville is, and I just know this from people I'm talking about because we're trying to buy land at the land trust. People went into the market after this December rezoning happened and just shot their prices up. Now the market's trying to adjust it a little bit on it, and the prices will start coming down. Because I know we're bidding on, competing to buy properties on the land trust to do that, and all of a sudden the prices started here, and now they're working their way down, because once you take a hard look at what you actually can do with it, and Roger's a perfect guy to talk about this, you realize, oh, you can't really put 6 on there. Oh, you really can't even put 3 on there. Oh, maybe 2. And all of a sudden the price just starts dropping as you start taking a look at what you can put on there. Which again, the folks at the time, if they thought we were going to have 50,000 more people, that's just not going to happen.
Are we going to touch on, are you going to touch on, and folks watching the program, I know you're thinking of this. Have you brainstormed the possibility of what happens if Powell, in fact, does a rate hike?
So the question would be, if something happens and interest rates all of a sudden flirt at 10, is there some magic number out there that everybody hits the brakes? And we had this conversation last year. We had this conversation when they were raising the rates, right? Is there some ceiling that everybody is going to freak out over? And
The Consumer Price Index, which was released 44 minutes ago, showed an increase of 0.3% from March.
Yeah, that's great if I have a commercial loan tied to the CPI.
Inflation eased slightly in April. On a 12-month basis, however, the CPI increased 3.4%. Core inflation was at 3.6%.
Yeah. If you take out housing out of that, I think that number gets you closer to 2%.
But how do you take out housing?
You don't. So, but people talk about that. Look, So the question is, does Keith Smith think that if we hit 9 or 10%, because that's the question you're asking me, does the market hit the brakes?
8%. Let's say 8. We're at 7.5 now, right?
We've been at 8% already. Did it happen?
Wait,
We were at 8%. Didn't
I
happen.
don't think we were at 8%. I never saw anything that hit 8.
Oh, yeah, we were close to it, 7.9.
We were close to it.
Yeah.
I'm saying if it surpasses 8,
I do not
if it
think
gets to 8.5.
so. I do not think so.
Roger Voisinay, your thoughts. He's offering some commentary. The realtor and broker was thinking if I did not purchase my home in 1982 when interest rates were 16%, I would be much poorer today. That's your point. Not only has the value of my primary residence grown from $56,000 to $1 million, but I was able to purchase 10 homes with my home equity line of credit in the last decade or two.
Now,
And he lives in the city of Charlottesville.
he's 100% right.
The mayor of Woollen Mills.
So the question is do
He's
I
got a
buy now
fantastic
at
property.
do I buy now at $1 million, and am I going to get that same appreciation X years out? Somebody would ask that question of us, and nobody knows that magic thing. But here's an example of 16%, and he bought. Roger, chime in. I think inventory has not been this low. I read a report. Our friends NAR put it out, and they're great at their statistics. I've been hard on them quite a bit,
National Association of Realtors.
but they're great on their statistics. And I have actually got a report that I asked Lawrence Yoon and their people at the state.
Chief Economist Lawrence June of
And their
National
statisticians
Association of
do it.
Realtors.
The last time we had inventory this kind of low nationwide was after World War II. So we've never seen inventories at this level versus the buyers, the pool of buyers, since after the war, World War II. So, something has to happen very drastic. All of a sudden there's a shot up of inventory, or there's a shot up of maybe the interest rate, maybe that does it. But Jerry, I'll look at it. Hold on a second here. There's still enough cash in the market and such a less inventory. I think cash will just keep the market rolling. Assuming everybody, this 8% scares everybody or 9% scares everybody. I don't. It may shock everybody, but I just, based on what I'm talking to people right now on buying, look, interest rates matter, but it's not the decision-making factor on if they're buying or not.
It's interesting. I appreciate that commentary. It's interesting the dichotomy you hear from professionals in your business. I respect your
Dichotomy.
position. The difference in opinion. Your position is the time to buy is always now. Mr. Duncan's position is wait 5 to 15 months.
Yeah, I think if Jim was here, he'd probably push back a little bit on some of that. I know what he wrote.
This is literally what he wrote. I'm reading it.
I get it. But
The written word.
I get it. But look, I'm trying to find something from here to take a look at the car footprint in the last 30 days, what has sold and how much of it was cash versus not. So give me 1 second. So in the last 30
He
days.
says 5.5%. The delta between 5.5% and 7% is a game changer, a market changer.
And who's saying that?
Jim,
Yeah.
substantive.
Subsident.
No.
No.
Substantial shift in the real estate market, 5.5% to 7%.
But has it slowed down at all?
He says rates could be closing in on 6% soon, which is really high when you're a buyer who has never seen higher than 4.5% and you've been budgeting for closer to 4%.
So his comment is right. So what?
Then he says, give us 5 to 15 months to adjust to this new reality.
Yeah. So what's going to happen is interest rates climb up. It's what already happened. Inventory is going to get worse because even if who's going to get rid of their 2% mortgage? Who's going to get rid of their 3% mortgage? It's just
People are doing that.
they are. We predicted that.
Yeah.
Life happens.
Yeah.
People have to move. People have to buy. So I'm going to tell you. So So in the last 30 days in the car footprint, there was 358 sales. 111 of them were cash. So let's do the percentage on that. So we have 358.
Bill McChesney, hello. Travis Hackworth, hello. Brittany Gray, hello.
Hey, Brittany. Great talking to you yesterday, Brittany.
We're going to get to folks asking about why sales are so down in Fluvanna County here momentarily.
Yeah, there's just not enough to buy.
I mean, you saw the largest drop in inventory in Fluvanna.
Yeah.
Sales. We're talking sales.
And we'll
a
talk about
19% year-over-year drop in inventory and units sold.
I was actually going to do a Lake Monticello focus show today, but I decided to look at the bigger picture. This is the first, when we'll talk about this here in a minute, this is the first time that we've seen inventory in the double digits out in Lake Monticello. We're in the 20s, 26 range, I think. I'll look at it here in a minute. Let me see, the difference between 358, I've got a percentage calculator that I downloaded. So the difference between percentage difference between 358 and 111 is 68. So there's roughly 40%, 35% of the sales are cash, still cash. So we're holding that 33 level.
There's 14 units for sale in Lake Monticello right now.
I looked at it yesterday. I thought it was in the 20s.
14. And there's 2 paper houses.
Yeah.
14 units for sale in a 4,300 unit neighborhood, roughly, that's Lake Monticello.
I'll tell you here in a minute.
I got it here. You talk about a dichotomy. How about this statistic for you? Fluvanna County, the first quarter of this year, 2024, versus the first quarter of last year, 2023, there were 83 units sold in the first quarter of last year, 67 in the first quarter of this year, a drop of 19%. Louisa County, on the other hand, the county adjacent to Fluvanna, nothing separating these two counties except for an invisible line. Louisa County had 135 units in the first quarter of last year, 166 in the first quarter of this year, a jump of 23%.
And we talked about this.
Why is Fluvanna down 19% and Louisa 23%?
So first of all, we have to
Down 19 Fluvanna, Louisa up 23.
So this is Carr you're reading from?
Yeah.
So you've got to find out if they made the same mistake I made, which is by including the Bright agents, which includes up on the other side of Lake Anna, which is part of Bright. If you just change the car numbers, so if you take a look at my numbers that we did for back on the 3rd of last month, I will tell you I've got, so Louisa sales were up 55%, and I've carved out.
So they're not including the Bright agents then?
Yeah, I've carved out the Bright. This is what they call the origination board. So I don't know what origination board they're using, but if you use all of them, it pulls in different areas. But this is car only. It's up 55%. Medium sales price was up 2%. So there's 55% more sales quarter over quarter. Fluvanna, now this is the whole county. It's not including includes Lake Mont, it's everything. We were down about 30% in sales, but the price stayed kind of flat quarter over quarter. But Lake Monticello right now, I was just looking at it. What do you have, 19?
Lake Monticello, no, I don't have 19. I think it was 14. You got 2 paper houses and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
So you're not seeing the coming soon. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coming soons.
I mean, do you count the coming soons? If you count the coming soons, you have to say some of these could go pending.
Yeah.
I count what's active.
Yeah. Well,
14 active, 2
I like
proposed.
looking at coming soons because the inventory is so low, right? I can look at coming soons, and if I have a client interested in Lake Monticello, I can start talking to them about it. We just can't go see it.
Right.
And look for coming soon to go away in the next round of NAR stuff.
Why do you say that?
I think that's what got us into trouble in the first place.
And how's that?
I don't know. I'm going to keep my mouth shut because I'm in the middle of a discussion with a couple other my fellow brokers and agents and fellows, and that it's a transparency thing. I think if it's on the market, it's on the market. If it's not on the market, it's not on the market. So coming soon.
Coming soon, you could utilize as a marketing window.
Yeah,
That has value.
You can market. You can do all that stuff. I'm talking about how the public looks at it. So you're now looking at the public side of the site, and you don't see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 homes that are going to come on the market.
Well, the agents that have coming soons that utilize social media and email newsletters can get the coming soons out to their database.
You can get it out, but you can't show the house.
You can't show it in person, but you can show what it looks like.
Yeah, sure. So 516 one is coming on. 516. 516.
He's talking
516.
about units coming on the market in Lake Monticello tomorrow.
So all those other units will come on the market tomorrow, which makes sense. Tomorrow's what, Thursday? Yeah. They'll be gone depending on the price point and what they look like pretty quickly. Yep. 325. But so yeah, hold on a second here.
Woody Fincham, hello.
Hey, Woody, how's it going, buddy?
Michael Guthrie, hello. Georgia Gilmer, hello.
With the coming soons, you've got 19. If you back the coming soon out, you're back at your number. We've got 26 in pending. Just to put that in perspective, the median pending price is $342. We don't know what it is because it hasn't sold yet, but we're at $342,000 as a median pending price. That's 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 1,973 square feet, and they've been on the market. It took them 7 days to go from active to pending.
Holly Foster and Henrico watching the program. We love when we have the Queen of Henrico watching the show. Welcome, Holly. This is a very nuanced market. And I think...
But look, Jerry...
I think we can, I'll say this again. October of last year was monikered the most expensive time in American history to buy a house. May of this year
A little bit more expensive?
has surpassed that.
Yeah, sure.
May of this year, the rates are the same and the values jumped.
So I've been doing this since 1987. Every market has its own little nuances. Every micro market has its definitive nuances, right? And other than the unicorn years where, it didn't matter if it had a roof on it and was standing, right? It was kind of back in the day, in the time of great unpleasantness, if you had a heartbeat, and I think even if you didn't have a heartbeat, you got a loan, right? So, things were selling no matter what. Now, location matters. It's always mattered. If you take a look at some of the data,
Most competitive location in the car footprint. What is it?
Oh, it's obviously Albemarle County, right? It's the largest by volume. It's the largest by number.
Most competitive micro market in Albemarle County.
That's a great question. It depends on where you want your where to be, right? So if you are...
I think the data is clear.
Yeah, I think...
And the units moving are clear, this answer, but go ahead.
Well, I'm thinking at this from a buyer's perspective, right? If you are in a situation with school-age kids, probably Weston Albemarle. Anywhere in Weston Albemarle would be where, because everybody wants to be in that school
The most
system.
competitive micro market in all of Central Virginia right now is, I would say, from the Bel Air neighborhood until the fork in the road that gets you to Crozet.
At that price point.
Ivy Road.
At that price point. But if
The
you go to
most
different...
competitive.
If you go
I'm
to...
very nuanced in that market.
100%.
That 2.5, 3 mile stretch.
100%. But if you're not in that price point, right, it's got a 1 in front of it. If you're not...
That's 1 and change in front of it.
It starts with a 1.
Yeah.
And that's
Find something in that
and that's not
with a 1 million.
That's not a 6-figure 1,
Yeah.
right? But if you are looking,
there were homes in certain neighborhoods that you could say were teardowns that were trading at $750,000 to $850,000.
Because they could afford to do it. They can tear them down,
Yeah.
buy them by cash, turn them down and do that.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at the 350, 450 range, that's not the market. It's maybe Lake Monticello or, wherever it might be. Look, Jerry, I've been preaching this as long as I've been allowed to have this microphone. It's 6 things, man. Location, price, features, condition, the timing is right, and who's on the other side matters. But yeah, it's all different kind of, it depends on where you're trying to buy. That's why you need a trusted advisor. That's why you need somebody who knows what they're doing. That's why this cell phone that I hold in my hand isn't going to do this for you automatically. You've got to do your homework and know what you're looking at.
Nate Kibler, welcome to the broadcast.
I
Looking
was-
forward to seeing you Thursday.
I did a Zoom call with
Judah is as well.
I did a Zoom call with somebody the other day, and I did the joke that you actually can make phone calls with these.
And do they understand?
They had no idea,
Well,
but
I
they
mean-
were of a certain age.
You could FaceTime on them, which is a phone call on Amplify.
I love it. We do this every morning with our grandchildren. We have breakfast every morning with our grandchildren. Connecticut, in Richmond, we have breakfast.
Other trends or storylines that should be followed right now, Keith, that you've been following?
Yeah.
What you've been reading, what you've been hearing, the
Yeah.
scuttlebutt around the closing table.
Yeah, so, I think I just do what I do. I read and I make sure that I understand what's going on in the market and understand what my client is trying to achieve, our client's trying to achieve, either the seller or the buyer, right? What are they trying to achieve? What's their goals and objectives? And we start guiding them through this particular process. So I keep an eye on everything. And in this market, I've learned recently since COVID, just the littlest of things can impact a micro market pretty quickly, right? So I just keep an eye on everything. Do my job.
You do a hell of a job.
I don't know about that, but thank you for saying that. I do my job. I read big letters, pictures. Got to have lots of pictures in it, Little Sesame Street kind of happens. My 1.5-year-old granddaughter, who actually can put full sentences together, helps me interpret. So
Any NAR commentary you want to get out? You've been hot on that recently.
Yeah, punting this to the local associations to implement, I thought was a little dirty pool, in my opinion. But that's my opinion for what it's worth. I think.
Monticello Wine Trail, welcome to the broadcast.
Yeah, I think we're going to see. I can tell you in our shop, we are very forward thinking and moving forward with this as if it's implemented now, which we should have. We've always operated under this, always did buyer broker agreements. Everybody always understood who's getting paid and what, and been super transparent. To me, it's not a big deal. Just do what you're supposed to do.
We are January, February, March, April, May, halfway through the second quarter. Halfway through the second quarter of 2024.
And what report did we get the other day?
We got the car report. You've been highlighting that. They are also at the mercy of the data being sent to them.
They used to do it on their own.
Now that's not done.
It's done by VR. They used
Virginia
to do it on their own.
Association of Realtors.
They used to do it on
So
their
they're
own.
getting middleman here.
They are getting middlemen.
Offering a little standing up for them in this regard.
Yeah,
here.
no, I get it, 100%. I can tell you I do my numbers within a couple of days in the court, but I'm a one-person shop and I stay up all night long and crunch numbers.
I get that. You're also not speaking for the second largest, a top 5 largest trade association in the market. And that's what CAR does. That's a lot of responsibility there. So
I would think they're the top trade organization.
University of Virginia's got them beat. There's more people with the university. That
So
work
they
for you.
considered a trade organization?
I would say if you're employed by UVA, there's more UVA employees than there are realtors in CAR.
Oh, hands down, but
Okay.
I think...
And I would think that there's probably more folks, and by probably we know, working in food and beverage than there are realtors in CAR.
But are they associations?
Association is a
Are they required to do business to join an association?
I would say UVA joining their human resources
Yeah.
is synonymous with
I
what.
think we're splitting hairs.
Yeah, right.
on-
My point is this: CAR is one of the top 5 groups of employees or workers
Nationwide,
in
it's the number
Central
one-
Virginia.
and the nationwide, it's the
So there is
largest.
responsibility that goes with speaking for a group of that large.
Got it. Understood. 100%. For me, it's just me.
Yeah, right. For you, it's just you. 100%.
I get it. Still,
You want the numbers faster.
there's no
And I
reason
think that's
why
fair.
it should take 6 weeks to get numbers.
I think that's fair. We're a third through 2024.
Yeah.
33% of right now, today.
Yeah.
A third of the year is over.
Yeah.
Kids, the school-age children have about a week left of school. And we know what happens in the summer. The market goes into hiatus.
Look at
as
slide.
families
Look
are
at slide
traveling.
number B.
Right.
Letter B.
So my point is this. Keith is saying on the program, we've passed the peak of sales for 2024.
yeah.
That's what he said today.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't say it. The data.
The data says
The
it.
data's
Yeah.
saying it, and I'm just interpreting. And,
Lottie Murray,
and
hello.
conveying so right now, if you take a look at everything from 2017, and if you wouldn't mind putting that slide up, I'd appreciate it.
Donna Price, hello.
If you look from 2017 through 2024, Aprils are usually your peaks, right? There's your peaks of the chart, and then things start sliding down after that. I fully expect the same thing to happen in 2024. I think the volume is going to be lower, but the graph, the peaks and the valleys we're gonna start turning it down and going towards December, and then it'll pick back up again. And depending on how this interest rate impacts it, it may pick up that pace or it may not, but it starts waning off somewhere of that. And I just know that because I also got a 21-year version of this for the car footprint, but it was so much information to be impossible to put out there.
You were on point today.
Yeah, thank you. I knew this car report stuff was out there, and to me, it's antiquated already. But if you're trying
What's the data for second quarter shaping out?
well, that's a great thing because
Halfway through the second quarter.
I have not done that yet, but we're going to wrap that up at the end of this month and see how the first 2 months are doing versus the same 2 months.
What's your
from
hunch
last-
say?
Prices up, inventory is going to still stay low compared to last year. I think this trend will stay the same as a car footprint. Prices are going to climb. I mean, do you remember this conversation we had last year that nobody thought we would be in single digits year over year or single digit price increase? We had this conversation this time last year.
Right.
And no, it's 3, 6, 12%. Certain jurisdictions, certain micro locations may be flat or not high up there in the percentages, but you're going to see, I think, volume of sales down. So you got volume of sales dropping. You've got all the new rules changing. People are trying to figure this all out and move forward. That's why I think we're going to see a little bit less people in our business, but it's going to be more. The fact that there are less sales happening and the pool of people that are doing the majority of the sales are staying tight, I think you'll see that trend continue.
What's your plan for Friday's show?
I think just you and I am, as soon as the show's over on Friday, I'm driving up to New York to do an 85-mile bike ride, and they shut the George Washington Bridge down, and we go 7,000 feet up and 7,000 feet back. So I think we'll just have a little fun and see what the viewers and listeners have to say, and then hit the road.
John Blair, we appreciate you watching the program. That post you tagged me in on Mr. Duncan's LinkedIn was excellent commentary today.
Yeah, I would love anybody who's watching or listening to this, if Jim can offer some clarity to that would be helpful.
I thought he was pretty clear.
Let's see what the background on it. I think there's more nuance to what he was writing than what he did, in my opinion.
Okay. All right, Keith Smith.
Can't see him suggesting to every one of his, if I am listening to it, every one of his buyers don't buy for the next 15 months. That's not what he's saying. That may be what's written there, but I don't think that's what he's intending to say.
Real Talk with Keith Smith online at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. Click the Partners tab, and you will find the trusted advisors in real estate, folks that you can count on that have personally been vetted by Keith. He's been in the business since 1988.
1888.
1988.
87, actually, 1987.
So his experience of 36 years has significant
136,
value. 36 years of experience. Yes, Realty Partners, trust them. Judah Wickower, I trust you. I Love Seville show is up at 12:30 with Kurt R. Johnson, the author of the book, Judah, it's called Schooled, The Miseducation
Of an American teacher.
of an American Teacher. He spent a year in the hallways and in the classroom at Charlottesville High School.
I need to text Yvonne to watch that show as an educator.
Judah has read a large portion of the book, as have I. You've heard of sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah, sure.
This is sex, drugs, and hallway brawling.
Sounds like when I went to school in the 60s and the 70s.
The hallways reeking daily
Yeah, well,
of marijuana.
yeah, you were just lucky to get home alive at the end of the school when I went to school, but we'll put that into perspective for another day.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you kindly for joining us. So long, everybody. Keith, very nicely done.
Yeah, thank you.